We welcome you back inside the Alex Strouf Show here presented by Cream City Central, and we go straight to the phone line. Oh, back to back, baby. We like doing it that style. We're doing all Packers talk here in the 3 o'clock hour, and we are joined now by a Packers Worldwide contributor and a contributor for the Pack-A-Day podcast, my good friend, Matt Froehlich. Matt, my friend, thanks so much for jumping on with me. How are you?
Great. It was like I was looking at the clock and I'm like, dang, the work is not done yet. I thought fun at show Kyle, like, so I'm done here. But I'm gonna put the work day.
It's a good work day, man. We misspelled your last name, but otherwise we're doing okay. So Kyle,
And honestly, over
Kyle's
29 years of life, it wouldn't be the first or the 10th time it's happened. That's not a huge deal by any means. But look at that picture. I mean, that's a pretty decent picture. I'm glad I didn't have to go on camera like Zach had to. With I could tell he had some quarantine hair going, but that's a pretty solid picture. I'll take that.
Yeah, we'll take that headshot every day of the week, man. We had Scott Vinci on last week, and he had maybe the worst headshot I've ever seen in my entire life, Matt. So you did better than Scott, if that means anything.
It does a little bit.
Okay, good. I'm glad he'll take it. So let's dive right into to some Packers talk, my friend. The Jordan Love pick, you and I were on a live stream together when it happened. You had the exact opposite reaction of me, which was you were not thrilled. I obviously was, but it seems like you've come around, right?
I have. So that live stream was legendary. For anyone that needs to go check it out, go to Packers Worldwide on YouTube, and it's their only video on there. It's long, it's lengthy, scrub through it, but there's some quality content. But I guess, I mean, as far as the opposite emotions, you were ecstatic. I was just at a loss of words, really. Like I don't know if it was all the hard seltzers I was drinking that night, but I was just stunned. Like really, there were so many guys on the board, Patrick Queen being one of them, that I thought it was a slam dunk to grab. And after that following, I woke up the next morning, I had to hop on a live stream and just kind of vent and get it off my chest. And it took me about 48 hours. So about till Saturday afternoon, during that draft weekend, I finally came around to the pick a little bit more. And I guess at this point, everyone can make their own interpretation, but I have a Jordan Love home number 10 jersey for the Green Bay Packers in my closet right now. So I guess it'll tell you where I'm at with my feelings thus far in mid-June.
So, yeah, like I said, you've very much come around, and I'm so proud of you. But, yes, I was also very drunk when we did that live stream. I'm not going to make that a secret, it's quality content because we're all just slammed, and it was a good time. Go Jordan Love. So, look, Matt, a lot of interesting picks in this year's draft. One we just talked briefly about with Zach, but I want to get into a bit more is A.J. Dillon. Obviously, that's, in my opinion, that's a big-time pick that they got out of A.J. Dillon. But that makes the running back room really, really interesting this year for Green Bay. Give me everything you got on the A.J. Dillon spectrum.
So A.J. Dillon is lower from the draft class than I probably would have most people take, I guess, A.J. Dillon. Josiah DeGuara is far at the bottom, but Dillon is a guy where I noticed, again, that reaction of his quick pony. And as I've gone through and talked with Ryan Bowman, the founder of PackersWorldwide.com, he's a huge A.J. Dillon guy. And I've been sipping a little of the nectar he has up in Canada. And I would say that A.J. Dillon complements the offense well. And I think going forward, you just don't know how his role will evolve within the Matt LaFleur offense. Like, is he just going to be a bruiser, 10, 15 carries a game at most? December, January, maybe he runs more. But Dak pictured it well, and it's a realistic football fan and a Packer fan would look at it and say, hey, Aaron Jones might not be on this team. And he might have played himself out of a contract, especially if he produces even similar numbers in the 2020 campaign. And you have to look to the future. And that's really what the draft is, right? You're always looking towards the future. It's far and few between to get a plug-and-play guy that you can get 16 out of and maybe produce enough numbers to push your offense or defense over the top, get into the top 10. And I think A.J. Dillon's a guy that is he going to do that? No. However, I think we're going to see an evolution come August and September of the Matt LaFleur offense in year two, just on the precedent of they're adding offensive linemen. They added a running back. They added a big receiver. They added a tight end. And it looks like it's really another chance to produce a stable for the offense. Give Aaron Rodgers a little bit more consistency in that backfield. And if you want to split out Aaron Jones as a receiver, you have the option to, because now you have Jamal Williams and A.J. Dillon. You could put the backfield. You're not reliant on one of those guys in case one goes down or fatigue comes up.
Great answer, Matt. And I don't know if you noticed about halfway through your answer, if you still got us playing on your TV, your last name has been updated for the record. It's now spelled correctly.
I see that on, and obviously I have a TV hanging in my office. Obviously you can see the picture at Bear Performance Marketing. I have a TV. It sounds a lot fancier than it is. It's basically my freshman dorm room TV I've just hung on to for so many years. It's a flat screen. So I just tossed you guys up there, but I appreciate that. Kyle's working his butt off as always. It probably goes underneath the radar, all the production and the logistics that goes on with a live stream like this. So I just kudos to anyone, Kyle, Alex, whoever else is involved in Green City. It can be an absolute, there's a word for it, cluster, and then it rhymes with duck, but I will not say that. And it's a nightmare. So you guys are kidding.
Well,
this is awesome. Good stuff.
You're the sweetest man, Matt. But as you described the running back room, Matt Froehlich of Packers Worldwide and Pack a Day Podcast joining us here on the Strouf Show. As you're talking about the running back room, obviously you brought up some of the contract situations that the Packers face next year. And I talked about it with Zach briefly. 33 either restricted or unrestricted free agents after the 2020 season. Do you view this season as kind of a make or break year for Green Bay? Because personally, I do, Matt.
Wow, I didn't know you said 33.
Yeah, that's a big number, isn't it?
That's a huge number. That is make or break. No, I don't think it can be a make or break year. I think it can. It's definitely going to shorten the window. I mean, obviously, I've been saying this for well over a year now. The Packers are on a 5-year plan. They're 1 year in with Matt LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers and their contracts. I don't think it's a make or break year, but it definitely will tell how intelligent and how maybe naively confident Brian Gutekunst and Matt LaFleur are, considering the transactions they've made or lack thereof in free agency, or the draft picks they've acquired and been able to manipulate and produce some talent. And make or break, no, I can't go that far, but I definitely can see where you could come to that conclusion, Alex, because they're transitioning from a traditional swing it around offense to now they're going to be more of a ground and pound. And if you don't have the right tools in place and you're kind of letting guys go, not signing guys, at that point, we know how to rebuild a team in the NFL. It takes years. And if you're going to go down a different path instead of at that fork in the road, sticking with that left side, maybe being a passing game instead of a right side, where it's the 22 personnel or 21 personnel that Matt LaFleur is accustomed to running, it could come to that point. But I'm just kind of thrown out for the 33 unrestricted free agents. That's a number I wasn't aware of. So that is concerning, most definitely.
Yeah, I think that's a good word choice. And I mean, among those are the names we just brought up: Aaron Jones, Jamal Williams, David Bakhtiari, Kevin King, and the list goes on. But let's stray away from that and focus more on 2020. You mentioned at the top the wide receiver room hasn't really expanded a whole lot since last season. Obviously, a couple new names in there, but nothing that jumps off the page. Who do you view as a guy that really needs to take a step in 2020 in that wide receiver room?
There's a lot of guys, honestly. There really is. I could almost say everyone other than Devontae Adams, because I don't know how many more steps he has in him. I mean, I think he can develop his game even more, but he's done what he's been able to do. I would say at this point, it's got to be Marcus Valdes-Scantling, just because of what we think. What Aaron Rodgers knows he can get out of him, what Matt LaFleur wants to rely on him in that offense, and we've seen flashes, right? I mean, him and Equanimeous St. Brown are two of the three guys left. Jaymon Moore's looking for a job, and Equanimeous St. Brown was hurt, so he kind of gets the cop. Where MVS has had 2 years under his belt now, one with Mike McCarthy offense, one with Matt LaFleur offense. We can give him a pass that it's that learning curve, but I just think he's been, there's so many opportunities that he's been given that they seem to see something in him, just like the rest of us, and he needs to take that step in his third year, which is usually the huge jump for receivers. We all know that. And I would say he's the guy. I mean, I think you're going to get contributions from, obviously, Alan Lazard, Jake Kummerow, whatever his capacity is. Equinemius St. Brown, I'm very optimistic what he will do. But I think MVS, in a very young and green receiving room, he's the dude that you're going to want to step up and kind of maybe mentor a few younger guys. And it sounds crazy, but it seems like every year as the NFL progresses, that window of how old you need to be a veteran really kind of gets lower and lower. And we kind of see that right now in the Packers, very young team, outside of a few veterans. So they need to, to have someone be a leader inside that locker room, especially in the receiving room.
Great answer. And I want to follow up with that. I got two more for you, Matt. Number one, you brought up Whitewater Jesus and Jake Kummerow. Does he make the roster? Because it seems like his time may be running out in Green Bay.
It could seem that way. I mean, last year we were having the same conversation, and he blew the doors off in training camp and preseason. It was like it would have been impossible to let go of him. I mean, I'm not far from 1265 Lombardi down where I'm working right now, and I if I would have been working here at the time, I probably would have seen some sort of irritated Green Bay Packers owners outside of Mike Murphy's office down the road. Like, if he would have been cut, that would have been an issue. And at this point, I still think that. I mean, no, you don't really know what you're going to get. I think Devin Booker is a good player. Again, still not sure what you're going to get from him. I think he's going to be solid. He's going to fit that Alan Lazard role where they're kind of a few catches here and there, maybe a big player or two, but mostly a blocker. But Devin will definitely be able to produce more than Alan Lazard will in the passing game. Kummerow, I mean, no, I'd on the team. I really do. Unless the only reason I would say he wouldn't be is just the transition from the Mike McCarthy era to less receivers, maybe more running backs, more of the eight-back dude, and carrying offensive linemen could see that get cut away. But I still think we're going to see number 16 out there, and I hope to see him for years to come. But I mean, we have had players similar to him that have kind of came and went from that position group as well. So it'd be nice to see Jake still out there. He's still, people hate on him, and I understand that. But when you watch him out on the field, he does things that are special, and I think that he's earned his right at this point to make the roster come September.
And last one for you, Matt. Jay Sternberger. Obviously, we didn't get to see a ton of him last year. I know I'm on the bandwagon. I assume you probably are too, now that he'll get kind of an expanded role in that LaFleur offense. Expect big things from Sternberger in 2020, Matt?
I mean, he wasn't really on my radar until about 2 months ago, and you may have been one of the people that put him back on my radar, Alex. And then I started doing some research, and it sounds like even the national media is on him. The nitty-gritty gurus of fantasy football or daily fantasy or even the dynasty, they're all over him. And I really do think Sternberger takes a leap this year. Not a small step. I think it's a big move for Jace because Jimmy Graham's gone. Mercedes Lewis is only getting older. There's really not a ton of talent in that locker room. I mean, no disrespect to Robert Tonyan, but I don't think he's nowhere near as talented as Jay Sternberger is and can be. And again, we go back to the 2019 draft. If Jay Sternberger would have been in the 2020 draft as a tight end, he would have been the first tight end off the board.
Yeah.
It just so happened there were some super talented tight ends that went in the first round. Noah Fant, Irv Smith, and Hawkinson. So really at the end of the day, Sternberger is a solid talent. And I don't follow him on social media, but I keep seeing his stuff. Like, people keep retweeting it. He's working his butt off. And I really think he takes a leap this year, and especially just from the confidence they had in him last year. They were willing to line him up in different positions. And as a fullback, an A-back, then the case may be, they him, and he's able to understand the new playbook that is under the Matt LaFleur offense.
Great stuff from you, Matt, at PackersWorldwide.com or the Pack-A-Day podcast at Matt_Fra, F-R-A, excuse me, not far, F-R-A on Twitter. Matt, thanks so much for dropping by, my friend.
I appreciate it. You guys keep grinding it out and have a good rest of your day.
We'll do that. We'll do exactly that. Thanks so much, Matt. And that's Matt Froehlich from Packers Worldwide and the Pack-A-Day podcast.